Hey pals, welcome back to the Disney Magical Mindset Podcast. This is the place where we take a little Disney magic, mix in some real life, sometimes messy moments, and remind ourselves we're not stuck, we're just in the middle of the ride. And today I want to talk about one of the most classic attractions at Disneyland, one that you either really love or you probably don't really care too much for it. And this ride is the Matterhorn. And today I actually want to talk about the Matterhorn moments of life, because life can feel this way sometimes. Especially as we near the end of the year, you may have looked back, or you might be looking back and saying, man, I've had a lot of Matterhorn moments. There's been a lot of bumps, a lot of bruises, like, my back hurts, body hurts, aches, because you've just been through it. It's been a rough year for many of you. And, I want you to know today that I know exactly what it means, like, to get bumped around and to get tossed around and to just have your life feel like, what is going on? And you know exactly what I mean, right? Like, there are moments when everything feels peaceful and calm. And I know we all love those moments, right? But then suddenly life grabs you by the shoulders and shakes you around like you owe it some money, like it's after you. 1 minute you're in the lagoon, the one right next to Matterhorn, where the Finding Nemo's voyage is, submarine voyage there. And it's just so beautiful in that area, so peaceful, so calm. The sun's shining and you're thinking, hey, maybe like my life I got it together. Everything's cool. And you're like, yes. And then the next minute, have you had this happen before? I think you know where I'm going with this. You're on the Matterhorn getting tossed like a rag doll thinking, is this normal? Like, am I supposed to feel this way on the ride in life, with bumps and being tossed around and my lower back killing me? Yeah, I mean, my lower back kills me, not just because of the Matterhorn, but as you get up there in age, it starts to feel a little different in your 40s. You know what I mean? But the Matterhorn, to me, is the perfect example of how life messes with us, because nobody accidentally ends up on the Matterhorn. You choose it, or your friend encourages you to go on it with them. You walk toward it, you get in line, you climb into that bobsled like, let's do this. About to conquer the abominable snowman, or Yeti, however you call Harold. And then half a second into the ride, you're regretting all your decisions. Now, I happen to love the Matterhorn. It's like one of my favorites. I think the nostalgia, it's such a classic attraction. But I thought about how it really is a great metaphor for life. Right? Because that is exactly life. We sign up, just think about, like, you choose the dream, you sign up for the business, or you're going to create a new habit, or you enter into a new relationship, or you have this goal that you started at the beginning of the year and you swore, man, you were going to finally commit to doing it this year. You get excited. We're hopeful. We're ready for peace, progress, alignment, literally. And then the first bump hits, and then the second one, and then the third, and then suddenly it feels like everything that could go wrong actually goes wrong. And we think to ourselves, well, maybe I should have never started this adventure. Maybe I should have never gotten on the attraction. Maybe I'm not meant for this. I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I should actually quit. And I'm here to tell you, no, N-O. You're just on the Matterhorn. And I get it. Like, sometimes I also understand that there are going to be bumps that you didn't ask for. Like, you didn't get on the ride. Like, the Matterhorn, you choose to get on, and you just expect that the bumps are going to happen because you already know. There's a lot of jokes that are out there, a lot of memes when you see reels on social media of people who are coming off the Matterhorn with their back breaking, chiropractic adjustment. Like, it's kind of known now as it's funny. It's the thing that makes us laugh. Like, we don't like the pain, but we still go on it. And I understand, like, that's life. Sometimes you don't get on the ride. You don't choose to get on the ride. The pain comes to you. And then there are other times when you do, right? You decide that you're going to make a difference in your life. You decide that you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, listen, I'm not going to do this anymore. Like, I'm tired of doing the same thing every single year, every single day. I'm over it because I keep going down this path and I don't seem to be going anywhere. And so what I'm telling you is that yes, there are going to be bumps. Yes, it's going to get difficult. Yes, when you set out to do something big and great, and not even something big, something small, something that's just going to make a difference and impact your life and make a difference for other people, I can guarantee you, just like the Matterhorn, you're going to hit the bumps. And just because you get to that first bump and the second bump and the third bump, I know, again, it feels like you shouldn't even be on the ride. Like, what am I doing? And you want to quit. And I'm here to tell you, no, you're not going to. We're not going to do this. We're just going to embrace the fact, as difficult as it is, that we're on the Matterhorn. Yeah, we're on the Matterhorn. And you know, Walt Disney, my hero, and for many of you, your hero too, he talked a lot about failure. I appreciate that so much. He had this perspective about failure that it was good to experience it when you were young. Like, it was good to just kind of get it out the way because you knew that if you got through that failure, you would get through the next one. And when you got to that experience of failure, it wasn't going to sink you. It wasn't going to cause you to quit. It was going to just make you realize that along the way, when you're trying to elevate your game and get to that next place in your life and level, like when you're going into this new year saying, this new year is going to be the game changer. It's going to be the best year ever, you have to expect that you're going to get some bumps. And the more bumps you experience, right, like on the Matterhorn, the more you expect them and the more you know that nothing's going to stop you from getting on the Matterhorn, right? And I know that most people hear when Walt talks about failure, and he talks about how it's good to have a failure. It gives you something to think about, gives you something to embrace, something to realize that you can actually get through. Like, I love hearing his story, and he talks so much about it. And I know that most people hear these different quotes from Walt on failure, and they're like, man, that's so inspiring. And it is that. It is inspiring, but I'm pretty sure if Walt were riding Matterhorn with us today, you know what he'd say? He'd yell that over the bumps. He'd be on the bumps, and I think Walt would say things like, yeah, it's good to have a failure when you're young. It's good to experience this and go through those bumps because it's going to make you stronger. Because Walt didn't build Disneyland on comfort. You know what he built it on? He built it on momentum. Yeah, he built it on this dream, but it wasn't on comfort. You know, when we look at that story, the story of his life in Disneyland, and the Walt Disney Studios and everything that he went through, the failures that he experienced, it's so amazing to me because it wasn't comfort that he built anything on. It was momentum. It was drive. It was desire. It was commitment. He wasn't afraid of things getting rough. In fact, he expected it. And that's what I'm talking about. See, when you expect things to get difficult, then you know that when it happens, it doesn't surprise you. You're like, bring it on. You know, you're not asking for it. I'm certainly not wanting that, but I know it's part of that growth. It's part of getting to the dream, to the goal, to that next place that you want to go, that you know you want to see change. You know, Walt, when things got difficult, right? You know, again, it's like he expected it. When the bankers turned him down, when people said Disneyland was a ridiculous idea, can you imagine that? People told him it was a ridiculous idea, and look at us now, how much we love and enjoy it. When even his brother Roy, even though we give a lot of credit to Roy, and I know he doesn't get a lot of that, you know, because he never wanted it, and he was always there to support his brother. But we know that Disneyland and everything that Walt built would not have happened without Roy. But even when it came to building Disneyland, even Roy didn't quite get the vision. And Walt didn't say, well, when life gets bumpy, guess what? I'm going to quit. When it gets difficult, guess what? I'm going to throw in the towel. He stayed on the ride. He kept moving forward even when it was uncomfortable. And here's the wild part. Everyone remembers the making of dreams, not the bumpiness behind them. Woo! Yeah, everybody always remembers the goal. They always remember the highlight reel. They always remember the success, but they don't ever remember the bumps that came with it. Like the difficulties, the challenges, the falling on the ground, the crying, the tears, everything that happens to get to this moment where we're finally on the mountaintop. Nobody talks about that. Nobody really, speaks to the reality of all the dreams that happen. We just see the final product and it's great and I love it. But that's what inspires me. That's what gets me going. When I read people's story and I'm like, wow, you went through that to get to where you are today, and it encourages me. And I want you to be encouraged today, because nobody visits Disneyland and thinks, wow, I bet this place was easy to build. Nobody thinks that. We just go and we enjoy it. We go and we're like thankful. Every time I'm there, I'm either visiting, the bench where Walt dreamed up Disneyland, and I love going there. Or I'm leaving the park and I'm going to Walt's apartment and looking at the light, right, that stays on always. And I know that nobody would ever say like, wow, this place was easy to build. We love it. We enjoy it. And so I'm here to tell you that the dream you're working on right now, the goal, the aspiration, the thing that you say to yourself, like, I want to do this. And listen, right now, I don't care what has gone on with this dream up to this point. In other words, if you have not accomplished it, if you have dropped the ball, if you look back on your year and you're like, man, I said I was going to do this and I didn't. Fine, wash it. It's done. We are now at the end of the year, and I'm here to encourage you, to remind you, to tell you that whatever you're working on right now, one day people will admire it. People are going to celebrate it. One day people are going to want to learn from it, and they'll have no idea how many metaphorical chiropractic appointments it took to get there. How many times you had to get on Matterhorn over and over and over again until finally the breakthrough comes, until finally you get to this place where you're like, yes, look at what happens when you stay on the ride. Ooh, y'all got me going today. Man, I love this, and I just love sharing this with you. When I think of Disney characters, like in every Disney movie, and just think of any Disney movie, any Disney hero that you love, there's always a moment where the character gets tossed around, don't they? Emotionally, physically. I mean, it's just, that's what happens. There is no story without the bumps. Every great story will always have difficulty, will always have the bumps. That's what makes the story great. That's the tension, right? That's the problem to be solved. That's what gets us to lean into the films, to the movies, to the stories, and say, wow, look at how they overcame. Simba, remember, he loses his purpose. He thinks that he is responsible for his father's death. And as a result of that, he's running, losing his way. He runs away. He leaves the Pride Lands. He's so scared. He's now trying to discover his purpose, and he loses it. He is the king. And for so long, he heard something different because he believed that he wasn't. He lost his purpose. We look at Moana. She was rejected by the ocean twice, a couple times, I think. She's rejected. Hercules, he's finding it difficult to go the distance. He's trying. He literally crashes into pillars trying to prove himself. He's trying to show himself strong, and he's having a hard time. And Tiana, Tiana, I love that. Such a great story. But Tiana, she's working and working and working, only to get told it's not enough. You're not good enough. You can't do this, right? And no one, these people, these characters, these stories, no one gets a smooth ride. No one gets a free ride. No one walks out of it and it comes easy. Anything that you are doing that is powerful, that is going to change your life, that is going to cause you to thrive and succeed and get to that next level, I can guarantee you anything like this is going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. No one gets a smooth ride. I say it again and again. It's not going to be smooth sailing. I know we want it, right? It's not going to be, it's a small world after all. As much as I love that. And we all enjoy it, especially during the holidays, Christmas time. I love it. And we like that peace and the calm. But if you're trying to change your life and you're trying to become a better person, you know, you're trying to make a change, it's not going to be all smooth. And here's what all these characters have in common. You know what it is? Here's what Walt's our inspiration, why we continue to admire and be in awe. Here's what they all have in common. They stayed on the bobsled. They stayed in motion. They didn't confuse a rough moment with a ruined purpose. They stayed and they hung in there and they hunkered down and they held on tight and they leaned in. And the Matterhorn, I know it feels messy, but it still gets you somewhere. It still gets you somewhere. And if you just hold on, there's a reason why you put your seatbelt on. There's a reason why they tell you, right? Like lock in and they check you because they know that if you were to get off the ride, come on, if you were to get off the ride, you would get hurt and you would not make it down the mountain safely and sound. But there's a reason why you have to stay on because what's waiting for you down the mountain, my goodness, is going to be the thing that actually gets you back on the mountain again. It's going to be the thing that gets you the breakthrough that you are looking for by staying on the ride, by embracing the bumps. Oh my goodness, man, we having a good time. Now here's, I kind of need to take a breath. I'm cheering for you, friends. Man, let's stay on that. Let's stay on the Matterhorn. Let's stay on the bobsled. Here's the part we forget. And it's true, we do, especially when you're getting tossed around. The ride always stops. Even the most chaotic seasons of your life, I want you to know, have a stopping point. I know it doesn't feel like that sometimes, but you don't stay on the descent forever. You don't stay on the struggle forever. Eventually, the brakes hit, the momentum slows, and you slide back into the station. Even in the midst of the painful bumps, they always lead somewhere. Every unexpected turn shapes you. Every loud, screaming, hair-whipping moment forces growth. So if you're in that season right now, the season that feels loud and shaky, here's your reminder. You can scream, you can laugh, you can close your eyes. You just can't jump off the ride. You just can't. Because your breakthrough is coming. It's there. And part of that breakthrough is going through the mess, is going through the difficulties, going through those turns and the bumps. And sometimes I know, especially this time of the year, as we get to the end of the year, it gets difficult. But come on, hang in there. Hang in there. We're going to do this together. And next time life gets chaotic, instead of thinking this shouldn't be happening, which I know is natural response, because I've said that before. We all have. How about we try this? I must be heading somewhere. Instead of saying this shouldn't be happening, how about I'm going somewhere? I'm heading somewhere. Chaos is proof of movement. If life feels bumpy, congratulations. You're not stuck. You're not stagnant. You are moving. There's momentum. There's movement. You're in motion. You know, Walt once said he never wanted Disneyland to be finished because growth meant change. And change actually means, guess what? More Matterhorn moments. It's just the way it goes. If you don't want the Matterhorn moments, then don't ever change. Don't just stay where you are. Don't look to do something different. Don't get on the ride. But the moment that you say to yourself, I'm gonna change. Disneyland will never be completed as long as there's imagination left in the world. You know what that means? There's gonna be some bumps along the way. Because that's just what happens. So when things get messy, instead of doubting your direction, lean into the momentum. Because it's taking you somewhere. And it's often those bumps and those turns and the difficulties that make you stronger and make you more prepared for when you go on the mountain again and you experience it another time. So here's your challenge this week. When things get chaotic and messy, don't say, why is this happening to me? Instead, how about we say this? Oh, I'm on the Matterhorn. It's just part of it. I'm not saying it's easy. Please hear me. I'm not saying that it's going to be a breeze. And some of you are really going through it right now. And my heart is with you. Hold on. Breathe. Keep moving. Because just like the ride, the bumps are temporary. The destination is worth it. And the magic is who you become on the journey. Okay? I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I always appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to be with me, to be inspired by the Disney magical mindset. And if this episode encouraged you, can you please share it with somebody else who might be feeling today like they're currently being body slammed by life? And if you enjoyed this, I would love for you to follow the podcast so you never miss an episode. I'll be back next week with some more Disney magic. And I want you to always remember, always remember that you are the magic. Because the magic is in